Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, let us learn about one more important service, that is a CloudFormation stack. CloudFormation. And we're gonna implement a proof of concept for this CloudFormation as well. So in this video, what we're gonna see? We're gonna learn about how to use a CloudFormation service in order to deploy a stack, or you can say create a infrastructure in your environment, AWS environment. That infrastructure we call it as stack. Okay. Now, so what is the need of this CloudFormation in real time? So whatever the project that you may implement in real time, or what are the project that you may be assigned in real time, every project, every company must maintain a stack for their resources. So what is the reasons or why they need to maintain the stack? They can even create the resources individually one by one, right? Yes. So why do they need to maintain the CloudFormation stack? And by using this only, why do they are creating their infrastructure or stack? The reason behind this is sometimes it might happen that some unnecessary resources also created in between. So based on your requirement in real time, your infrastructure will be increasing day by day in your cloud environment based on your client requirement. So by increasing one by one service in your architecture, what happens? Your architecture becomes complex, and sometimes unnecessary and unused resources also created, right? Yeah. So in order to avoid that cost on you, you must need to detect whatever the unnecessary resources that are created by you or others, right? Yeah. So in order to do that, you can use this CloudFormation. In this, you define your infrastructure in the form of code. So whenever, if anyone, you or anyone who created some environment or changed the already available environment, that is, let's say in your CloudFormation stack template code, you created only one EC2 instance related. You have written some code for EC2 instance as well as some security group. Let's say there might be some change happened in your infrastructure. That is, one more resource is created, or there may be a change happened in existing environment, like in security group there may be a change, or in your EC2 instance there may be a profile change. So like that changes will be happened by any one of the associate engineer in your company. So that you can detect, how you can able to detect that. So in order to do that, you have draft detection option in this CloudFormation, that also we can able to monitor in this session, and we can able to identify whatever the changes happened on your infrastructure. And I will tell you in this video, we're gonna even see how can we able to automatically monitor these changes, and how can we able to automatically perform corresponding actions, that is delete those changes and move our infrastructure back to original environment. So those things we're gonna implement in this lab. We're gonna first deploy this stack, that is we're gonna first create this environment. How to use this CloudFormation in order to create your environment, that is the first task that we're gonna do. Next, we're gonna modify our environment, that is manually we're gonna go to our environment and let's modify that, and let's check that modification is available in this CloudFormation by using draft detection option. And if there is a, if the draft is detected, that is the modification is detected under our draft, then we can even create a automated Lambda function in order to automatically modify or remove whatever the modifications that we did. So that we're gonna do in this lab. So for this, I'm opening my AWS management console. You can see I have logged into my AWS management console. Now I want to show you what stack that I want to deploy at first. So that actually I have stored in this S3 bucket. This is the YAML this is the YAML code, or this is the template that I am using in order to deploy my stack. So first I want to show you the code which is present in it. So that's why I'm running this SQL query in order to see the data present in my S3 bucket object. You can see this is the stack that I'm going to deploy right now. If you clearly observe this, then you can able to identify the resources session. Here you can able to identify what are the resources that I am going to create. In this resources, you can able to identify one resource type, that is AWS EC2 instance. This is I am going to creating with this metadata. With this whole metadata, I'm creating one EC2 instance, right? Yeah. And coming to properties, if you observe, I'm referring this for my image ID, and I'm referring a instance type variable to choose this instance type. You can say I'm using these two variables, right? So where do I define these two? I defined these two at the top. You can see here. You can see here under parameter session. Under parameter session, actually those will be defined. Then yeah, you can see under this instance type, I defined all the details, and Amazon Linux AMI ID I defined. Yeah. So I have defined the parameter type. Under parameters, I defined the parameters that I'm referring in my resource that I've created. So like this I referred, and VPC ID also I've created a parameter that also I'm gonna use in this. Then you can see the role I'm using and everything what I'm using, those are visible here. You can see a security group also I am using, right? Yeah. So for this, whatever the associated IP address, those rules also I have defined, right? Yeah. So, and I also defined user data in order to create my EC2 instance. That related user data I have defined here, and the security group that I'm using for this, for creating this EC2 instance, that is this. I'm referring this web security group resource. That resource is nothing but this. Here I defined the type. You can observe the security group type I defined. And if you observe, then you can see whatever the ingress traffics that I have allowed, those are visible here. And I'm creating the security group under this VPC ID. This VPC ID related parameter I have defined here. So like this, I have defined two resources. What are the two? One EC2 instance, and another one is the security group that I am using for my EC2 instance. Those two resources I am creating. And so in order to create these two resources, I'm using these parameters, and this is just a description. Next, if you observe the output, so whatever the output that you want to print, that you can even write here. You can see that I have written and providing my EC2 instance related public IP address. Right? Yeah. So if I deploy this, what object? This is SAML CloudFormation.yaml template. If I deploy this template, obviously what happened is a EC2 instance as well as a security group will be created, right? That EC2 instance related public IP address also I'll get as my result. Now I want to deploy this. So in order to deploy this, first copy this location URL. You can see I'm just copying this URL. Now I'm opening CloudFormation. So where you can deploy your YAML templates in CloudFormation. So that's why I'm opening my CloudFormation. You can see here you have an option to create a stack. Now I'm just clicking on it, and I'm just clicking on with a new resource. With a new resource I want to create. So that's why I'm selecting this. Here you need to provide your URL. Since I'm creating my template, so first you need to specify where your template is. It is in S3, then you need to provide that S3 bucket related URL. Or else you want to upload your template, then select this and upload your template directly from here. Or else if your template is present in Git, then also you can able to sync it from Git. Currently I want to use a S3 bucket URL because I uploaded my template there. And now I'm just clicking on next. I provided my stack template related details. Here you need to provide your stack name. So for this lab, I want to provide my stack name app stack. So that's why I provided the name like this. And I'm moving on with the default options and VPC ID. Currently, I want to create this stack under this VPC. So that's why I'm selecting this VPC. And I'm just moving on with the next. So here you need to provide your IAM role in order to create this stack. Currently, I want to create this stack with my user permission. So that's why I'm not providing here anything. And I'm just scrolling it up and I'm moving on with the stack failure options. So that is the default options. Advanced settings also I'm not modifying. I just provided my stack related template and you can observe what are the stack details, that is name that you provided, in which VPC you are creating your stack. Those details are there. And now I'm just clicking on create, submit, so that your stack will provision now. You can see it is creating, that is creation is in progress. Under resources tab, you can see what are the resources that are created. Under outputs tab, you can see what are the outputs that you get. So let's see the events. These all events happen. And if you observe the resources, yeah, one EC2 instance related security group is created, and it is creating one more EC2 instance. You can see our EC2 instance also created. So these two resources are created and our stack creation was completed. You can see the output related to your website URL. You just click on it so that your website will open. Meanwhile, let's see the template. The template is visible even here. Here you can able to see what are the template that you use to create this stack. Now I want to, yeah, we have successfully created our environment, right? Yeah, these are the resources, those are created. Now I'm just opening this EC2 instance and the security group in two new tabs. Now I want to do any modification in these resources. I want to do any modifications in these resources. So this is the EC2 instance that is created for us. You can observe the security group that is created and attached for this. Under the security, you have that option. Now I'm just opening the security group. Now I want to add some changes to these inbound rules. That is already I have two rules, right? Yeah. Now I want to edit this inbound rule and I want to add one more rule. That is I want to add HTTPS I need to add, and I want to add, you can see I just adding one more rule group here and just saving this rule. You can see that rule got saved here for the security group. Now, while explaining theory itself, I have told you, so whenever you deploy your stack, I'm just opening the stacks I have. You can see this is the stack I have created just now. Now, whenever you create any stack, that is whenever you create any infrastructure or stack by using CloudFormation template, then you can able to identify whatever the modifications or changes that are happened in your environment that you can able to do from your CloudFormation stack. So let's see that how to identify those errors, that is that modifications. Now you observe I've modified the security group and I updated one more, you can see one more inbound rule to that security group. So let's try to detect that. In order to detect, I'm opening the stack and I'm clicking on view draft. I'm clicking on draft detect. You can see I just clicked on draft detect. The draft detect is initiated right now. And let's see the draft detect results. So that's why I'm clicking on view draft results. You can see here, yeah, you can see modified. Clearly modified status is visible under your draft status, right? Now I'm selecting this. Not checked. I think it is a checking. And you can even view the draft details. So what happened? So what is the change it is happened? That also you can able to see here. If you select it, then there you can able to identify this is added extra. So this is the expected one, but this is the actual one. That is, this is the modification happened in your environment, right? Yeah. So we can able to detect whatever the modifications that we did in our environment by using this draft detection. In real time, you might see whatever the new resources that are created by this draft detection, and you can able to delete them manually, or you can able to write an automated code as well. Now, in order to remove this, or you can say whatever the modification happened, that in order to remove this, I have two options. One is manually, I can go for the security group and I can able to simply select it and edit it and simply remove directly from here. You can say I just delete it. What is this? This is HTTPS. Just delete it and save it. I'm not saving. And the one more method, to tell one more method, I haven't deleted this new rule that I have created in my inbound rules. So the another way is you can automate or you can implement some Lambda function. That is, you can implement this compute process in order to remove those unnecessary security groups. For that, I've already written some Lambda code. You can observe this. So if you see this, so basically the function starts with importing all these parameters. Then after you can see I've connected to my CloudFormation as well as my IAM. Now I need to provide my stack name. So I'm providing the stack name here. That is app stack is my stack name. And I'm picking some role that are provided in my environmental variables. Then you can see I'm moving to here. So here, first what I need to detect there will be any complaints raised. After detecting my draft, if there will be any complaints raised, I need to check it, right? Yes. So first, in order to do that, first I need to detect my draft. You can see I am detecting my draft in this steps. So you can see this is the method that I'm using to detect my draft. And by using the stack draft ID, by using a stack name, I'm initiating for draft detection and I'm picking the draft ID. So while till I haven't detected my draft, I'm just waiting for detecting the draft. And so whenever a draft is detected or completed or draft detection is failed, till then I will wait here. So whenever your draft detection is succeeded, then after I'll come out of this while loop and it will reach to here because the draft detection is not failed. That is, the draft detection is happened. So it will come here. And if there will be any drifted, that is, if there will be any draft is detected, that is, any complaints draft will be detected. What I am doing, I am just getting the information of those resources which are detecting the draft or change or complaints, and I am picking each and every draft that is detected from my draft detected resources or change detected resources, and I'm picking one by one each and every changed resource or draft stack resource. And what I need to do, I need to provide the modification, right? Yeah. So in order to provide modification, you can see I've written this. So whenever the resource type is this, you can see I'm picking a resource type, resource ID, and what is the expected property and what is the currently actual property is there. In CloudFormation, you have seen this is the expected, but this is the actual, right? Yeah. So if they both are not same, then I need to do some modifications, right? Yeah. So for that, based on the resource type, you need to create one by one a repair related functions, and you can able to repair or modify what are the changes that you want to do. Then for repairing or modifying or removing whatever the changes happened in my security group, I've added a rule right in my inbound rules. So that I want to remove for this in this lab. In real time, you might have multiple resources that are created. You might need to remove them. So for that, you need to implement your code here for automation. Currently, I've written the code in order to remove just a particular security group and create one more time the same security group. You can see if there is a change happened in this security group. If the resource type is security group, obviously my cursor will enter here and this function will be executed and it will pass all the variables or parameters. Then it will reach us to this function, that is a repair security group function, that is this. Then I've already created one allowed, or you can say whatever the IP permissions that I'm expecting. And I'm checking if the expected value is not actual value, then obviously I'm just replacing. You can see I'm just revoking the security group ingress traffic for that current IP permission. And I'm authorizing the security group ingress traffic to the allowed IP permissions that I have just previously created. So in this way, I am just removing already existing permissions and replacing them with I am expecting permissions or my required permissions. And in this way, I'm just modifying or removing the change happened in my security group. So like that, I've created a rule here. And similarly, I've created one more rule in order to see whether my instance, EC2 instance related IAM profile, that is IAM role is modified, then I'm repairing that as well here. For that also, I've written the code here, you can observe. Yes. So if expected value is not the actual value, then what I'm doing, simply I'm just replacing that. You can see I'm filtering and then identifying the IAM profile associated with my EC2 instance. And then what I'm doing is I'm just associating whatever the required, whatever the expected IAM role. Or else you can see here, that is I'm just disassociating the unexpected IAM role that is associated with it. And then after I'm just associating the IAM role that I am expecting to associate, that is this. Now, since there is a modification in my security group, in order to detect my draft and in order to remove this security group related added rule, I'm just running this Lambda function. This is one more way. Since I provided some modifications, I'm just saving this Lambda code by just clicking on deploy. You can see this is updating. Yeah, updated. Now I'm just testing this. So for this, first you need to provide an event name. Then you can able to test this. I'm just testing this. Now you can able to observe whatever the results you are getting, and you can see, yeah. Now let's move back. Let's move back to no instance profile update is required for this instance. You can see configuration restored for security group. That means this is replaced. That is whatever the available security group I have, that is replaced by this. Because since the actual value is not equals to, you can see this is the expected value, this is the actual value. They are not equal, so that's why replacement happened. Now let's reload this and check whether this HTTPS inbound rule that we added is removed. You can see that is removed, right? Yeah. So by this Lambda code, we did this, right? Yeah. Now you can even perform your draft detection again. Draft detection completed. So let's move back to our drafts first and let's detect our draft. I think this modification might take a few seconds. You can see they both are in sync. That means there is a no draft that is identified. You can select your security group and view draft details. You can see both are same. That means no draft is detected here. There is no difference here. That means whatever the modification happened, that is added SSH, or you can say HTTP rule that we modified. Or else you can do right now, you just add one more rule group and you can implement your Lambda so that you can able to identify that draft. Now I'm just adding this, saving this. Now you can observe one more HTTPS rule got added. Now I'm just detecting the draft. So I just click on detect a draft. Now draft is detecting. So let's move back to our drafts and let's reload this. You can see a modification is visible in our web security group. If you see that a draft or change happened in your security group, this is the difference. I'm just clicking on it. You can see this is added. Now I'm just running this Lambda function again. This Lambda function obviously remove that draft, that is the added security group related rule. You can see this is done. Now I'm just reloading this. You can see that is removed. Now every time it might not possible for you, or it might not the best practice in order to you to detect your draft each and every time manually, and in order to remove whatever the extra data or extra modifications happened in your environment. So for that you need some automation code, right? Yeah. For that you need some automated checking and automated replacement of actual environment with expected environment, right? Yeah. So to do that you have an option, that is you can use event buses. I'm just using event bus in order to monitor my resources for every few minutes or few seconds, and I want to perform this automation of removing whatever the extra created resources. So for that, I'm just clicking on create an event bus, or you can use the available event buses. That is a default event bus is already there for you. In this, I want to create a rule in order to do that draft detection and implementing that Lambda function corresponding to the draft detection and perform replacement actions or corresponding actions in order to maintain my environment safely. And I want to move back my environment to original environment from modified environment. So I need to save my environment like that by automatically monitoring and implementing that Lambda function to modify the changes and move back my environment to original environment. So for that, I'm creating a rule. This is a schedule based rule. Every few seconds, it need to check and modify the changes. So I'm just selecting the rule type as a schedule, and I'm providing some rule name here. So that's it. You can provide some description. It's an optional currently, so that's why I'm not providing. Now I'm clicking on continue with scheduler, and here I'm providing some, you can see recurring schedule I'm providing, or so let's move back a bit to our event bus rule, and let's make it easy to create this. That is, I just provided some rule group name, and I want to use scheduled based rules. Now I'm continuing to create this rule, and here I want a scheduled based regular rule group. That is, for every 2 minutes I want to monitor and update the changes that I want. If there will be any changes happened in my environment, then I want to immediately remove that by using my Lambda function. So that's why I'm monitoring each and every 2 minutes my, that is, I am implementing this, or I scheduled this rule for every 2 minutes. and I'm just clicking on next. Here you can see whatever the target that you want to trigger each and every 2 minutes. So based on that schedule, which target you want to trigger. Currently, I want to trigger my Lambda function because in that Lambda function only I've written my automation code in order to check and modify whatever the result. That Lambda function is this. That is a lab compliance Lambda function. And now I'm just clicking on next and no tags are required. So that's why I'm clicking on next. So this is the rule group that you are creating. What this rule group is going to do is, it is a schedule based rule group. For every 2 minutes, this rule group will trigger this Lambda function. This Lambda function will going to perform its corresponding code action. That is, it will modify your draft detection. And so whenever it detects any draft, then obviously it will simply repair that change, that is what are the modification happened in your environment, that is removed by using this Lambda function. Now I'm just clicking on create rule. So whenever you click on create rule, now you can see our rule got created successfully. You can see our rule got created and enabled. So now previously we each and every time run this Lambda function in order to detect the draft and remove the modification or change happen in our environment. Now, since we created this event bridge rule, this will take care of it. That is, each and every 2 minutes, this rule will trigger the Lambda function, that is this compliance Lambda function, and that modification changes will be removed by this Lambda function automatically. In this way, we automatically able to detect our draft and we can able to modify that draft as well. I'm just clicking on edit inbound rules to provide one more rule and check whether it automatically modifies or deletes this rule or not. So for that, I'm just providing one more HTTPS type rule here, and I'm allowing all IPv4 ports, and I'm saving this rule here. So let's reload and wait for 2 minutes so that whatever the new rule group that we created, that will be deleted automatically by using that rule, because that will trigger our Lambda function, right? Yeah. Let's reload and wait after 2 minutes. Then you can able to identify that result here. You can see, so what are the rule group that you created and targets, and you can able to monitor your rule group as well. So from here you can able to monitor your rule group, and in CloudWatch metrics also you can able to monitor your rule group. So currently it is not detected any changes. Wait for a few, that is 2 minutes, because we provided 2 minutes, right? So that will be detected, and yeah, 2 minutes only. That will be detected and trigger this Lambda function for every 2 minutes. This Lambda function will detect and modify the changes. Now again, I'm just reloading this rule group to see if there will be any modifications are there. That is, yeah, you can observe this working got started. Now let's open our that Lambda as well, because whenever each and every 2 minutes, what it will do, this rule group will trigger this Lambda function. Let's open that Lambda function related matrix. You can say I'm just reloading it. There you can able to observe whatever the triggering happens to this Lambda function, right? Yeah. So I think the modification also happened in security group, because that Lambda function is triggered. That will identify the draft and remove this, right? Yeah. You can see that is removed automatically. You can even edit and one more time you can able to create, so that then also the same thing happened, that is automatically it will remove. In this way, in real time, you can able to detect your new infrastructure that is created automatically, as well as you can able to modify that and remove them automatically by using a Lambda function, by triggering your Lambda function schedule basically by using event bridge, event buses rules. You use the default event bus to perform this scheduled based triggering for your Lambda, and you use the Lambda function to detect the draft. And so for draft detection, you actually use the CloudFormation. You can see, yeah, you use the CloudFormation stack name in order to detect the draft. So then after, you can see the Lambda function will identify, and obviously it will delete that newly created rule. You can see that inbound rule that we created HTTPS, that is removed. So in this way, you can able to implement automation by using infrastructure as code. In this way, you can able to use your CloudFormation stack in order to deploy, in order to use your CloudFormation stack to deploy your environment in AWS. And you can able to use your draft detection in CloudFormation in order to detect the any changes happen in your environment. And you can manually remove those changes, and or you can do those removal or modification or removing of changes directly by using Lambda function code, or you can automate this process by using an event bridge triggers with specific schedule. By triggering this Lambda function, you can automatically detect the changes happen in your stack, and you can able to remove that modifications as well by using this Lambda function. I hope you understood this video regarding hands-on lab with CloudFormation or proof of concept of this CloudFormation, and how to use this CloudFormation in real time. I hope this video is useful. If you feel this video is useful, then please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. Thanks for watching again. See you back in the next video with another interesting topic. Until then, bye bye guys.